Is it?
Let's
Is it?
go surfing now. Everybody's
Right,
learning how.
I am bad at this. Yeah. I like
I
that you wore the hat, by the way, especially
I
since it is our.
matched the channel. I mean, I had my blue cap over here, and I thought, wait a
Wait a
minute,
minute.
that's not what I look like in the upper right hand corner of this.
In this realm, you only exist with a red hat. So that is the realm of the best of our week. I think
I'm
Juan
gonna have to
Carlos.
start carving it up. I'll wear a black cap for reviews.org. I'll wear like a pork pie for Newegg. I'll blue cap
Exactly.
only on my own
Yeah,
channel, and then a
channels.
red cap here, and then you'll instantly know.
Anytime we see you, we know where that footage was picked up from.
Beautiful. I mean,
I think that's the that's gonna be the. Oh my god, man! How are you doing, man? How's your week?
Yeah, it's been a week. I mean, mostly good stuff. Lots of cool tech. I mean, the silliness is like in the ridiculousness of the job that we do. I spent a lot of time trying to work like some sponsorships and trying to strike up this really great business relationship with this company I was really excited about. And then they totally lowballed me on a bunch of videos like, oh, well, we were thinking we'd give you like $100. And you're like, not for 3 videos and like bumpers on the podcast. How did you arrive at that number? And like, I thought we were cool. So, you just get to the end of the week and you're like, man, I felt like I kind of burned a lot of time on stuff that that didn't come to fruition. So that was a little But on your side, you've been playing with a crazy fun new phone, and you've been doing some cool stuff.
I was lucky enough to so the Mi 11 is in the house. The officially first Snapdragon 888.
Yeah, take that, Samsung.
Exactly.
You're so 2000 and late.
Exactly. You were 2021 too late. That's what it was.
I'm like actually really loud here. I'm gonna turn
you just a little bit, just a little. I had a chance to. Well, and I had a chance. I still have that chance, and I'm still working on it. I want to do it. I'm holding the phone. I had a chance. I was like, it's in the past. No.
This opportunity that has now since passed me by.
This is cardboard. This is not the real phone. The Mi 11 actually was a very big surprise from what I've used. I've had the opportunity to use the Mi 10, the Mi 10 Pro. Unfortunately, not the Ultra, but those two versions of last year, I had the opportunity to play with them. And a Mi 10 Pro was for me the highlight of what I saw as a truly the flagship of what Xiaomi wanted to release. The Mi 11 is a very good competitor. I mean, like realistically, out of the gate, I think it just jumps over the S21 and the S21 Plus and just basically says, "Sayonara, go back home. Johnny can't play today," kind of thing. I truly, if you truly value your money and you value the feature set that you get there, where the company's trying to truly innovate and provide you more.
Now, I want to jump right on top of this because I kind of feel like there's a good Android nerd fight happening. I believe Xiaomi beating Samsung to the punch. Early phone releases in January. I mean, that's
mid-January. That is like we just waited to come back from vacation just to release it. We just didn't want to do it while we were gone.
I mean, I still haven't finished wrapping up my CES messages, right? And then here's Samsung and Xiaomi putting out phones. It is my assertion. It is my hypothesis that Samsung is already cutting prices because Xiaomi beat them to the punch.
Absolutely, that $200 price cut on the Ultra, 2 weeks after,
and on the Plus. What the heck?
I'm like, seriously, like when I saw that a couple of days ago, I was like, okay, this is really irking me because you realize, right? I didn't finance my phone, right? I actually, and I'm trading it. I'm paying money out of my pocket to get the S21 Ultra. So 2 weeks after the official release of the phone, right? Where almost even if you pre-ordered it, you didn't even get it before then. You got it literally maybe a day or so before availability.
Right.
They cut off $200 off the price. And I'm like, what the? And they did the same. Remember, we did the same thing last year with the Note 20, and I feel like this is going to be a trend for them. Like, why even pre-order? Why be in that initial first wave?
I'm seriously considering putting out a video where like I mean, it's to kind of lean into my crankiness and the clickbait, but you never, ever, ever, ever buy Samsung at full launch price on launch week.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
unless you're a tech, unless you're a tech reviewer and you need to get that immediate access. Like it was what it was. It was 4 or 5 weeks before there was a substantial price cut on the Note 20, and now we're 2 weeks into a price cut on the S21s. This MSRP is complete fiction for the value of this product.
Absolutely. But they still, so that's the weird part of, you know what, they'll keep using the MSRP whenever they're selling it to you, because then they're like, well, you're getting it for $200 off MSRP.
And then they can also pass it to carriers, and someone can pay full price over $50 a month payments.
And so that's the kicker, right? Carriers didn't carry that $200 discount. The carriers are still selling it at the original, because if you're going to get it through them, they probably bought it at that, they bought it at a much higher price. So to lower it to match the sale price. So, you have to, the caveat to this obviously is that if you are purchasing the device outright, that's where the discounts are showing up right now, and you can still technically finance it. You're able to still do the financing that you're saying. It's just not a carrier financing. Samsung finances on their side, as well as Amazon does. Not exactly the best, but they do their own.
Still something
you could still break up the payment.
Kind of wiggle it in there.
So I think that was a straight, like the moment the Mi 11 came out, and the Mi 11 showed you that the S21 and the S21 Plus made no sense. I think Samsung was like, oh, and they know that the Mi 11 Pro is coming. So Samsung knows there's a Pro. The Pro is, so this is what happened. I think I noticed some people that were doing videos that compared the Mi 11 to the S21 Ultra. And I felt like, you're kind of reaching. It's not exactly an S21 Ultra comparison. This is truly geared to the S20 and S21 and the S21 Plus. And if you just go based on the price, because the conversion price based on the launch price was, I think is $900 roughly. So it's not exactly 600, which is what it was selling in China. So you factor in, and also just kind of a caveat, Xiaomi decided to not even play the game of do you want a charger in the box, to just include a charger, a 3.5 jack headphone adapter in the box, and a case, just to sweeten the pot. They're literally now they're just egging Samsung. They're
do you remember how nice the experience was back on Mate 10s?
Oh my God, the soft touch box. Oh man, it's like the whole experience. Everything.
I just how sad is it that now it's Xiaomi or also the news that we got that OnePlus is probably going to keep the charger in the box.
Yeah, we saw that as well, which is, again, it's another kicker. They're
but how sad that's a big hot tech headline. OnePlus not going to change its normal business practices,
not following Samsung, it's you want to take a page of Apple just to do your own little shtick. And so that was the thing for me. The thing that bugged me is my unboxing experience of the Mi 11 was more exciting than literally I did a 60-second video unboxing the S21 Ultra and the S21. There's nothing other than the phone and a cable.
Surprise. Phone and some pieces of paper.
Pretty much, because that's all we need. There you go, $1,300, $1,200.
So I mean, you've had some time to play with it, and you're going to be digging into it, and you're probably going to be running it a little bit harder. But how have you felt I feel like, especially when we're talking Snapdragon 888, we're very concerned. I think a lot of folks are starting to get a little anxious about performance, about
throttling.
How do you maximize the performance of this chipset? Because it's a different combination of cores. It's this is different hardware than what we've been kind of coasting with from the 835 to the 865. Have you been running into some of the issues that people have been complaining about?
So the main issue that I've seen a lot of people comment on is essentially the overheating or the thermal concern, right?
It throttles.
It throttles. So here's the two different approaches of the two major 888 devices that we have in the market right now. There's the Samsung approach, and then there's the Xiaomi approach. Samsung is throttling the 888. That's one thing that we know, because they don't want it to overheat. They don't want that heat issue to come out of pretty much. The only way to circumvent that, as we saw when I was trying to do my testing on the S21 Ultra, when I wanted to push QHD 120 hertz and full power, I had to turn on like power mode or advanced mode for it to actually perform on the normal
Right.
this is like seriously, for a company that advertises a Lamborghini, they really tune it to be a Honda. It truly, like, they cap it. So that's the approach Samsung's doing, right? They're throttling, and there's certain things you need to do to get it to work at the full performance. Xiaomi approach was slightly different than that. Xiaomi actually did not throttle the phone. There's no throttle issue. There's no performance degradation. Even if you're running it at QHD 120 hertz, the system runs full bore. Now, that will somewhat generate some heat depending on what you're doing on it and for how long. So, like, for about like for the videos that I posted on Monday, I did it about, I would say, roughly about maybe 2.5 hours worth of straight gaming, jumping from one game to the other, and then trying to put it through a spaces. So that was generally my test when I try to test or push the limit of a device. Is how does it handle itself in about a 2-hour session of gaming? And that, when I do my videos, because you think about it, the clips that I show are short, but to get to those matches, to get the kills, to get those, you have to go through it so many times. The Mi 11 did warm up, but it didn't get to the point where it was so hot that I couldn't hold it. It was just warm to the touch.
Okay.
Closer to the upper.
Talking HTC One M9 then.
No. We're not talking cooking levels. Yeah. For depending on how if I was holding it to play with it with the provided case, I didn't have that much, but I could feel the temperature. When I was using it in the Kishi controller, that was obviously not an issue for me because I'm not even touching the phone. I'm using the controller. I have joysticks. So depending on the gaming experience that you're playing, you're going to get a slightly different experience. But I can see that Xiaomi is not throttling. And with that performance, generally you'll get some temperature increases on the top part of the phone, closer to the camera module.
My concern is from the synthetic benchmarks that we've seen from some of the folks out there, like an Antec digging into the Galaxy S21. Some of their graphics performance, the throttling would drop so low that it was getting outperformed by Snapdragon 865.
So that was I don't know if I shared that with you last time when I was showing the numbers. But I did not turn on the performance mode.
Oh no, we talked about the Galaxy. I mean, for the Xiaomi.
Oh, sorry, on the Mi 11.
When you went through like a 2.5-hour gaming test, were you finding that, like, if you have an extended play session, are you keeping up with 865s? I mean, like, is this now going to be like the Snapdragon 810 Mark II? Where it is, I mean, the 810 was more powerful than the 805, but your daily driver performance would plummet as soon as you started using that phone for more than like a quick burst of activity.
Performance wise, for me, no, there was no issue in the games that I was playing. I didn't notice any performance issues in there. I wasn't measuring the battery degradation at the time. I didn't see how much battery drop that was that last part of the test that I didn't do for that video, because that was initially more, let's talk about all the good features. What can you do with it? I do know that it did get warm, but I didn't kill the battery in 2.5 hours. I know that I had enough juice to go through for the rest of the day, to kind of keep going on with the phone. But I realize that I think once I do that test, I'll know exactly. There's a good chance that it obviously will impact the longevity of the battery, because it is going full bore. It is not limiting it initially, but I think as you hit some thermals, there's going to be some throttling done by the system. There's automatic stuff
going to throttle. I think what was kind of a concern to me was seeing frame rates drop below 865 levels because this core combination was running so hot. Especially because it looks like, if we're talking same battery capacities, if you let the 888 perform to a higher tier, that's a step back. That's a regression for battery.
It's a regression. Yeah.
And so that to me is, again, it's making me anxious that what we're going to be trading for a quick burst of high performance hardware is going to count against us for sustained performance and for battery life when we're really comparing these back and forth. And it kind of makes sense why Qualcomm is looking at rebadging another 865,
exactly, with another 870.
It's not looking like, or at least I should say, in the earliest two phones that have been using this chipset, and until manufacturers can better optimize for this hardware, that the 888 is not going to be the marketing claim improvement that Qualcomm's putting out there. 30% improvement over this and up to a 40% GPU performance. Like those numbers seem unattainable in real world conditions now, outside of a couple like benchmarks, but I don't play benchmarks.
You don't really?
No, they're surprisingly not as fun as you think they'd be.
You don't run a benchmark in the morning and at lunchtime and at evening, like your daily routine? Okay.
Well, the next time I'm writing a document, I'll make sure to fire up my benchmarking app, and I'll do all of my writing in the
as you're benchmarking. Exactly.
Exactly. You feel me. You know what I'm talking about.
We're gonna have to make it. We'll make it happen. I'll get you a note-taking benchmarking app in no time. We'll make that happen.
So I'm not trying to throw cold water on this, but it's making me maybe I'm looking forward a little bit more to see what OnePlus might do. I'm kind of curious.
I'm hoping that by the time
OnePlus 9.
Well, so the thing that we also need to keep in mind is that I think that the key word that we kind of started off at the beginning is that both of these phones were maybe rushed a little bit. If you want to say, maybe we want to look at it
to launch in January.
No. Announced in December, launched in January, yes. And announced in January, available in early February.
A little bit rushed is being very kind, TK.
I
mean, come on. The normal launch window for a Galaxy is like MWC, not.
So it used to be MWC, right? Exactly, and then slowly creeped up into announcement in mid-February, and then you see it in March. But I really think so. Here's the bigger thing that we need to keep in mind is that the architecture that we have on the 888 right now initially seems to back up the claims that it is faster. It's the sustainable. It's the how well does it sustain the power. In the 2-hour session of gaming that I played, between jumping from PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, jumping to Modern Combat versus Asphalt 9, jumping over to Genshin Impact, I didn't run Genshin Impact at the end, which is the issue. I think I should have run Genshin at the end because that's the more intensive of GPU intensive. But in the order of games I was playing, because at the time I was like, because you're setting up the phone, you're getting everything set, kind of running on it. Yeah. The short answer, I didn't notice any frame rate droppage. The performance, I was playing PUBG and Call of Duty Mobile on both high settings. So I made sure to use the full benefit of the QHD resolution, 100 ready hertz, all of that good stuff. The phone didn't seem to have a problem. I didn't. So the other problem also is I wasn't running an FPS measurement app. Like the initial video that I posted for Monday, both in Arabic and English, was truly more of the here are the greatest features of this, and now I get a chance to spend
because a feature video and
absolutely. And I got the phone not that many days before then. That was the other thing. I didn't have like the week or two.
The more rigorous testing is going to take some time. I'm not putting you on the spot right there because I'd rather you do your due diligence, because these are some of the big questions that I think are going to be plaguing this generation. But it does kind of. I mean, I was I just recently jumped on the Android Central podcast with Daniel Bader. And we were talking OnePlus, and one of the things that I think could be really, really exciting, it could be really fun, is if every single OnePlus phone is a $200 window for itself. So, like, let's say we keep OnePlus 9 at the same price as the OnePlus 8, the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro. That we could have a OnePlus 9 Pro at like $899, a OnePlus 9 at $699,
which is what they were.
9E drop down to a Snapdragon 870, and put that at $499, and that to me is like, now I'm like, that could be just like a juggernaut. That could be a monster disruptor.
That would just literally wipe any kind of chance of Samsung even making any kind of footprint in the because of their relationship with the carriers. That's the other thing. You say, this is landing at the same doorstep as what Samsung's been working very hard to get to. So,
and it's a totally safe window, because then you drop another $200, and where are you? You're at the Nord.
Exactly. What? Yeah. Oh, that's
Nord
true.
And 10, $299. So $499, $699, and $899. I mean, like, I'm so anxious. I really want OnePlus to have this like perfect bracket, and like you would literally have like the most clearly delineated lineup of phones just traveling all the way down the line, and
all
then
the way.
obviously like a tier up if you want different storage options and stuff like that. But just like
Well,
base
yeah, no, no, no.
quality, quality,
I
quality,
realize. Yeah,
quality.
yeah, yeah. What you were referring to was basically base storage, base RAM, entry side. So the 899 will obviously be like what they had last year. The 999 would be their high end tier, the 12
God,
gig
I want that.
256 model.
Give me that Snapdragon 870 at $499, and
You
I
know
think that
that is very much a true thing. So we heard about the announcement of the 870, which essentially, for reference, by the way, the 870 is literally just an 865 plus,
plus.
slightly overclocked. Yeah, plus plus. That's literally all it is.
Yeah.
It's an overclocked
It makes
865
me
plus.
mad. It shouldn't be an 8.7.
Seven. No, it's not a
Because it's not. It's
seven.
an 8.6,
It
and they
should be.
just binned it a little bit better of an already better binned
Why don't you just call
batch
it
of
the
their chip.
866, the 867, the 860? I don't know. I
Or
don't.
pull an
So,
Intel, 10 nanometer plus plus plus.
yeah, because it's something. It's the exact same architecture. It's not even. I mean, the modem is separate. It literally is. So when I saw the specs on that, I was like, oh come on! You just you rehashed the same
I,
brand. You're saying slight up overclock, and now
I'm
it's a new
I'm
SKU.
I'm willing to put money that it won't be hard. It won't be difficult to find a handful of applications that have been well optimized for the 845 to 865 generations of
Yeah.
chipsets that the sustained performance will beat the 888.
At this,
I,
so
I
maybe
don't
at
think
this
it's going to
point,
be difficult.
no, no, no. I don't doubt it, and I think the 845, the 855, and the 865 are very the generational improvement between each chipset is. I mean, maybe from the 845 to the 865 is slightly bigger, but obviously they're all still very much flagship grade processors. They're still capable of providing you all of the things that you need. And that's what I wanted to kind of drive through in my video that I posted on I think was it this morning. You really don't need to buy the latest and greatest chipset or the latest and greatest phone from a company to get a flagship experience. The S20 Ultra or the or the S20 Plus or the S20 from last year, in my usage of actually using those products, I realized that they actually provide you a much better value, and they can still hang with everything you need to do in 2020 or 2021. So it's just it's just like I even addressed the fact that if you're coming from an S9 or an S8, you have to make a decision of what you're making, where you're spending your hard-earned money. It's listed on Amazon. I wasn't even trying to sell a used one. They had the renewed models of the S20 Ultra for $700 because at the beginning I was trying to like, well, you're TK, you're telling me I buy a used versus a no. This is a phone that comes with a warranty. It's renewed. It's certified that it works, and it is sold on Amazon. So I listed both of those in the description for people. I don't. I think it's still too early for us to kind of see what the 888 has to provide us. As you know, again, both Samsung and Xiaomi are playing this racing game. Xiaomi announced in December, launched in January. It's crazy, and for the most part, the specifications on the Mi 11 Global are identical to what we saw with the Mi 11 China model. The main difference in the two is the band support. They turned on different band support for global market,
Which makes sense. Yeah.
which makes sense. Obviously, Chinese 5G bands are very different than European style bands. Which surprisingly, by the way,
are they still spying on everything you do in the browser? Is that
according? I don't use their browser. I'm not gonna try to make it sound like it is. They fixed that problem. So the concern that I think most of us had
fixed that problem. No, they fixed the problem of
allow it
incognito mode.
I think at the end of the day, Xiaomi's approach to ad support, which is surprising because Samsung took a page from them on that. They decided to add ads, and they're ads inside of a phone at $1,200. Anyways,
I'm not okay with it, and I feel
I'm not okay at it.
I almost called out a buddy of mine who should have known better. Who's like, I'm not bothered by it, and you're like, stop that. Don't do that. Don't pretend that like a couple years ago you weren't ranting and raving about that on your Samsung TV, and now you're fine with it on your $1,200.
And they still do it.
That's $1,200 because you bought a higher storage tier.
Yeah.
Your even more expensive Samsung phone.
So Xiaomi's approach is very much so they're trying to address bloatware uninstallation, system app uninstall with the new update of 12.5 on MIUI 12.5. Unfortunately, this phone doesn't have MIUI 12.5 yet. It's on the list, but it doesn't have it. So yeah, I think if those things are concerning you, these are doubled apps. This is no different than the way Samsung does it, where you have an app from Xiaomi and then basically you have the Google system app that comes with it. So there are things that you need to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, yeah, this is still the same story, but at about $900 translated from 749, that is a very, very compelling story. And you saw what Samsung did. Samsung reacted, knee-jerk reaction right there. Boom. Oh, prices are lower. Yeah, no, we're in the same ballpark. We're cool. We're cool. We know how to play. But yeah,
because I really feel it's going to be Xiaomi is one of the main competitors that's going to start kind of eating into Samsung and the remnants of Huawei market share.
I think
Oppo's already
Xiaomi and
carved out like
I
such
was
a
about to
such a
say exactly.
boom.
Yeah, I was gonna say Oppo and Xiaomi are gonna come out and eat it and eat. Basically, they're gonna just sit at the table and just enjoy it because Samsung's not trying. Samsung is complacent in the market right now, where they're comfortable where they are. They feel like we've reached that. We are so up there that I feel like people
Well,
just don't appreciate it.
and because I get cranky about this kind of stuff. I don't think anyone's surprised by me soapboxing about Samsung's relationship with like reviewers and
Mhm.
governments. And did you happen to catch that C4E Tech video
So
where he was talking
Ash,
about Samsung in
Ash
the Indian market?
I did catch that video and I was very like when I was listening to it, I was like, dude, they do that here. Um, uh,
It
the
seems Samsung does that
we
everywhere.
wear, the more you know. What so Ash has been on a kick, by the way. Seriously, Ash has been on a kick. He first went after, I don't agree with Marquez, and he basically just literally either I don't know what's going on, but I love the video from the aspect of at least showing you a little bit of behind the curtain
I
kind of
mean, he's
conversation.
straight up pulling like network. I'm mad as
I
heck, and
know.
I'm not going to take it anymore.
I he is that conversation.
I mean,
We
it sounded like my anger.
I
I was
know.
like, no one does that. No one's silly enough to tank their YouTube channel like I did.
No, so this isn't the first time though. I've seen some of his videos in the past where Ash has been doing some content like this, where he's basically talking and discussing certain aspects that are obviously a big concern to some people in certain markets. And the reality is,
Yeah.
we should be able to basically let the tech speak for itself. We shouldn't be in a position where we are told what we should like. We should like the phone because we wanted it. I didn't get into Samsung originally or using Samsung devices because I felt like I was told Samsung was better. I just actually believed and I liked what they stood for. That was the whole point of my fandom of Samsung, was the fact that when everybody else was giving you 1080p panels, Samsung was like, no, we'll give you QHD. We're going to give you a large display, stereo speakers, SD card, MST, Samsung. It was literally like, and then. It's like, and you get to the point where you had so many features, you didn't know what to do. And I feel like this year we're starting to see somewhat of a different direction. We started with the Note. Xiaomi is basically just literally seeing a void and jumping into it. So is Oppo. I don't blame them, and I think I'm hoping that their presence in the same realm, it may allow us to start seeing some a little bit more competitiveness come back into the Samsung conversation. And I think that's what I'm hope. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm very happy Samsung's not. No.
No, it's I mean, from having been like a former Apple snob and then having been a Samsung fanboy in previous lives, especially after watching that C4E Tech video,
Hmm.
I kind of feel outside of our insulated little techie bubble that there seem to be some trends happening where here in North America, the obvious competitor is Apple.
Yeah.
And even though Samsung keeps spending more and more on advertising, I don't know that they've ever cracked more than like 30% market share. And this has been like holding steady. And
Yeah.
so every time we find some of these dips and these bumps, it's almost never Apple giving up market share. It's almost always people eating into Samsung market share. And so then we see these really aggressive PR campaigns, these really aggressive marketing
Hmm.
relationships. and how they're happening in different regions. And I think it does kind of speak to a little of the consumer burnout. Apple people are a different breed. You're not really pulling a lot of people away from the Apple ecosystem in the way that we move around in the Android ecosystem, just because there's more competition. And I kind of feel like this is going to be a bad year when we get to the end of this year, because we don't have the excitement of launching 5G handsets. We don't have the excitement of launching larger camera sensors. This is going to be a very refinement focused year.
Yep.
But we started it off with Samsung making some of the absolute boldest claims about phones that aren't as feature rich and are more similar to some of the competition from OnePlus and from Apple. And it's tough to reconcile that. It's really hard to put that against bold marketing claims of revolutionary improvements on a phone that does less than the phone it's replacing and doesn't do much better than the phone that it's replacing.
And I think my hope, it is. There's not much really you could try to spin it into any kind of other.
Well, but I mean, I think consumers have picked up on that. I mean, I think in our tech,
they're starting to.
We're sitting here and we're trying to get excited about chipsets, right? You know, this SoC is going to do this and 10% that, and Giggle flips this and benchmarks that. And outside of our bubble, the vast majority, I mean, like just the insanely huge, broad consumer market out there, they don't care. No. It doesn't move the needle for them at all. And so then you go and pick up your S21 and you're like, hey, this is just a phone. And there are a bunch of people on iPhone 12 Pros right now that are probably feeling like, hey, it's another iPhone. It's just a phone. And I feel like
with the 11 Pro Max.
Yeah. And I feel like this is what I'm doing, putting this huge chilling effect. So instead of companies going out to say like, hey, how can we really like take this slab of rectangle and not like in a folding phone kind of way or in a dual display kind of way or in some other radical form factor kind of way, but how do we take this and do something new with it or do something better with it? Well, you know, if consumers aren't going to be excited about it and they're going to be buying these less, why don't we pull a bunch of features and see if we can't pad our profit margins? And that to me is the death knell of the premium phone market. That's a downward spiral you can't climb out of. Even as much as I might want to point to like, well, maybe Sony can keep us afloat. I don't know that they can do it by themselves.
I don't think they can, and I realize because I don't think Sony's focusing that much on it. I think Sony's approach to
no, Sony's focusing on their camera division, and it seems like Xperia is becoming a complement to that, which I am on board for. That means an Xperia is going to be like what, 600,000 units to 1 million units a quarter, maybe. And that's it. And that's not enough to really keep like the premium sector in the high mind share. I want a phone that continues to approach these form factors and do new things. Oh, we need to do our
dude. We totally didn't.
We did not start the show off. Hold on.
No,
you got it on yours.
I got it on mine. No, I didn't. I'm on the right page. I was trying to say.
All right. On this week on Sony Watch, Juan and TK look at their Xperia 1 Mark II. See if it finally has Android 11, which is launched in every other region except the United States. And unfortunately, it does not. Tune in next week for another episode of Sony Watch as we wait to see if the Xperia 1 Mark II finally gets its update.
Finally joins the club of Android 11.
Thursdays on Best of Our Week.
Yeah. Oh, and then speaking of which, we didn't even introduce ourselves. I realize obviously our fans know who we are, but for the audio podcast, since we're going to start doing the audio podcast at some point.
No. We do have a Pinecast page, so there is a proper podcast host. Your designer mocked up these awesome
absolutely
logos.
kick-ass.
I'm super excited about that.
So if you guys haven't, well, I'm hoping you guys already saw the logo update. So we literally got it like 20 minutes before the show. It wasn't like hours and stuff. We got the guy's been doing a lot of good work. So he helped me, by the way, to create the beard logo, the shield, all of that good stuff. And Juan and I wanted to kind of just figure something that kind of worked between the two. So using another vector outline of Juan's face, which is why he's wearing the red hat again. And
Perfect.
and then I love Aditya with this thing. Who are you guys? We're a couple of guys. Uh, we're just hanging out. That's who we are. So yeah, the channel branding and so on. So you're going to see a little bit more their YouTube channel, the Twitters and Facebooks, not Facebooks, no Facebooks, Twitters, Instagrams, and Twitch. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Facebook. I don't know. I don't think anybody uses.
I'm gonna recommend no one reach out to us ever in any capacity through a Facebook product.
If you do, please don't be disappointed why you never
that we don't ever give back. But we'll just make this a part of the commentary right from the beginning.
Absolutely. And I see Gary's in the chat. I see Rolando's in the chat as well. Aditya, as always, biggest fan ever. And of course, holding our fort. I saw Josh Quinones in there as well.
Yeah, Vazikos and
Vazikos was there at the beginning as well. A lot of cool peeps hanging out with us. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining with us. So yeah, it was the gentleman. The gentleman is extremely helpful. Very, very the best way I can say, one of the best guys I've worked with. His name is Sanjik Shaikh. Hopefully, I'm saying his last name correctly. Shaik. And as soon as we officially kind of post everything else, I'll make sure to give him credit as well. He's a very good designer, and I love his work, and he's open to comment, and he's very patient with me. Because we went through a few iterations before we got to the way the logo looks like that. Yeah, there was one version where my head was like teeny tiny close to Juan's.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. So you tried to line up like our beards, and you're like, that makes me look like I've got a giant melon head, and you look adorbs.
And so I was like, exactly. So I was like, no, let's just try to do this. Don't worry about the beards. It's already understood that mine is longer. There's nobody's ever gonna kind of like, well, TK, that doesn't look. No.
So and measure out where his chin would be, and then just kind of.
I was gonna say
right in there.
I don't think people know where my chin ends and where the beard continues. That's the question of the week. But anyway, so with that being said, welcome back, everybody. I don't know how to say it.
Hydrocephalus is nightmare fuel. Well, I do wear a pretty big hat size, so
well,
let me just haunt your dreams tonight.
Just so just to fit the ego, I would say that maybe that's the best way. Anyways, I'm very excited about that part. That part to me was big. We're starting on our new channel. We created our new channels and new socials. So the Sony's conversation, I think, not to kind of jump too far away, but I feel like Sony's approach to smartphones right now, as you said, it's a compliment to their alpha, and I'm loving it. From a photographer standpoint, from a smartphone enthusiast, I love the fact that they not only kept the headphone jack, but they also kept the ability of using it as an audio input. It's not just there for audio output. This is the biggest differences. And hopefully with the Android 11 update, we're going to see HDMI input also support to the Xperia 1 Mark II and the Xperia 5 Mark II, which is a big focus on truly just literally using the full power of what you can do with a smartphone. They're pushing the limits. That's what we want.
And so that feels so much more refreshing when you really start breaking down like feature sets, capabilities, and that's not the conversation we're having with Samsung anymore.
We're not in
the conversation for Samsung. And again, it just kind of leaves me it kind of leaves me out in the cold. It's like there was a reason why I gravitated towards this company, and there was a reason why I still hold up the Note 4 as one of the best phones that has ever been made in the history of portable electronics. And so it's just like an ongoing, what do we do with this conversation when this company starts to represent something else? OnePlus can be tagged for not being the company that only makes one phone. Okay. we can get frustrated. Oh, like they're making a phone that's more expensive, and now they're making phones that are less expensive, and you're like, that's expansion. A core OnePlus experience still, I feel, holds up very, very well against the competition for hitting this like price performance ballpark or I should say price performance ratio in a very comfortable ballpark, undercutting a premium phone. It just now has to do business. It has to compete against like, you know, the iPhone base model, like the iPhone 12. Well, that iPhone 12 didn't really exist until OnePlus started competing better in North America. You know, then Apple expanded their product portfolio too. So why would we begrudge OnePlus for expanding their lineup? Samsung is still shotgun blasting phones all over the place with different models and different tiers and different features and different this, but their core, like their core mainstream crown jewel premium phone experience just feels like it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and more whittled back. And that's the trend that makes me sad, because I feel there are going to be a number of manufacturers that follow them when I'd rather them take this opportunity to try and do something different. And then I look at Sony and like, that's exactly what I want to see. Sony is trying to do something different.
So, and Sony is doubling down on that approach, which I'm loving. So we'll have to see how things kind of unfold in this year, but I did want to touch base a little bit also on the little bit of a leak that kind of just dropped this morning on a lot of people.
Oh,
I don't know.
Do you have a picture? Maybe I couldn't pull up a good one that doesn't have like an obnoxious watermarks on it.
Unfortunately, everything I found does have mass amount of watermarks.
I mean, I just didn't know if I was missing like.
No, I don't have the original pictures. That was I wish one of those things that I wish we had, but I do want to share real quick this. Where is this? A share screen. Hold on, let me do this here and remove here and share. Nope, it keeps doing it this way. Okay, let's do that. So basically the major thing that kind of dropped this morning. There was a video available on YouTube that has since been put into private mode, of a gentleman. Let's just do his. I don't know if that's special. From Tech Buff channel on YouTube, holding two, supposedly what we were looking at here is two Mi 11 Ultras or Mi Ultras from the Mi 11 series. And the biggest conversation that we saw with them is the fact that the camera hump was just ginormous. Like they went for the next level. And the biggest conversation here, if you can see it in the picture that I'm trying to show you guys right in this little area, there's actually a small display there. They're not making the camera hump bigger for the sake of a camera hump. They actually have a front display. And I think I'll show the picture later. Hold on, did they show it here? No, they don't.
Put a mirror on there or a second screen, but use the good cameras to take your selfies, folks. And
dude,
I'm really glad to see Xiaomi doing it right.
That's the home screen.
That's adorable.
That is the home screen. That is the
I am irrationally excited by tiny representations of normal everyday objects.
I don't understand. Like, okay, so I understand obviously what the purpose of it. Obviously, this is an early piece of hardware. I don't think it's intended to show the home screen because it's so tiny. Like you said, it's cute. This is more than likely intended to give you the front-facing view so that you can see yourself when you're, using the good cameras on your phone. Because
now, totally like something that could have been achieved with a mirror. Like I've got an old Windows phone that had like a little.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I think wasn't it the Lumia? Was it the or
no? I'm sorry, Windows Mobile. I have the Apache 6700, and that had. Okay, so I actually did a full breakdown on how you could take that phone apart, Dremel out, because the mirror blocked the speaker. It was such a dumb design. So you could Dremel out the mirror and then put in a mesh cover to cover, and you would have a fully exposed speaker, and it doubled the output.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then I had it in a little case, and I just stuck another little adhesive mirror on the case, and you're like, okay, well, I'm good. This is great.
The approach we're seeing here is so first and foremost, modding devices and doing that was obviously you did it out of necessity because glass doesn't, or the mirror itself doesn't reverberate the sound levels out. So you definitely had a much more muffled experience there. what they're trying to do here, I feel like, is what we saw with the Z Fold, the Z Fold 2, as well as the
Totally.
Z Flip. It's
Yeah.
that little display to be able to see yourself when you're using the main cameras, because they're obviously boasting massive sensors on the back here. So the short answer, this is the exciting part. The exciting part is that they exist, they're in works, and they're going to be coming out. But the fact that they're going to use the display to be able to do that with the level of new tech is just crazy. The reason the reason why that makes sense to me is because Xiaomi, one of Xiaomi's main thing that I have yet to see, which is my hope, is that we start seeing with more from Xiaomi, and I think it was even Oppo. They need to start pushing the limits of what they can do with their front-facing cameras beyond the 1080p 60 frames per second.
Disagree. Everyone should use the rear cameras on their phone. Boom.
No. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Roll credits.
Roll credits,
and then they just kind of trickle up through the screen.
And that's how that was the end of the conversation. So here's a couple more pictures. We're looking at the so it's essentially it's releasing with the MIUI 12.5, which is what they announced. It'll be 5G supporting 5G, but that camera bump is just.
I mean, at some point, what I would love is to acknowledge that maybe a thicker phone isn't such a bad thing after all.
It is not.
Because this is so ridiculously incomplete. You really aren't going to enjoy the sort of tactile experience of this device until you put a case on it. The case is going to kind of run a little bit more flush with that big old camera bulge. It's another larger surface area, just like the Ultras had issues last year.
Yeah,
protective glass on the cameras shattering.
Absolutely.
At some point, I hope we can just say,
still not
give me a taper. So, I mean, like, can you go back to one of the camera bulge shots real quick? So, like, from there, complete the back taper, and then give me a larger battery capacity within that space, and bring back, maybe give me a second USB port, or, premium headphone jack, and actually dedicate the hardware for, moving a PCB around so that you can properly isolate the audio signal and decode audio at a higher degree. I mean, this is already going to be such an expensive device. There's so much more function we could get out of that surface area. This doesn't look good. It's not attractive, and this is a very practical solution for how much space you need to give larger cameras.
Absolutely.
But you could just flesh out the rest of the phone, and we'd all get benefits from having more space to work with. Even just radios and antennas would benefit from having more space to work with.
And I wait, hold on. I think it's this one. I was like, I don't know. I couldn't get it. I couldn't function StreamYard for some reason. And so those are the things that I would like to see, right? The S21 Ultra, although with this whole new design and Samsung did on their device, it still has somewhat of an interesting design, and a case easily fixes it. And I think that's what most of us are going to do anyways with devices like these. But you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. When you put it in the center and it's going to be la, 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 all that good stuff. But I think they should really just embrace it and add more function, and I think that's what we want to see. It sounded like it also still looked like basically the device is still going to have Harman Kardon tuning for the audio for the stereo speakers, which are surprisingly good. Like on the Mi 11, stereo speakers sound good. They're not as loud as the S21. I will give that to Samsung. Samsung can definitely push decibels, go up there. But the audio performance.
It's pretty funny though. Like, our phones are now pretty handily competing with like consumer grade laptops and some of the Chromebooks out there. Like, there have been times where I've been editing and you're like, I just want to have a movie playing, and I'll prop up. I propped up my Velvet, and just nice. Okay, because I've got it in the case and I can just kind of swivel the screen up, and it was playing off of my desk with just enough kind of resonance on the desk. They're like, oh, this actually does sound better than my laptop. And it's like, I just needed the noise for the distraction. You're like, oh no, this is actually filling my room better. It's hilarious that our phones have actually improved to that degree.
I'm loving the fact that our devices are that advanced, because the fact of the matter, like, using and not to kind of like knock it. I don't want to make it sound like I knock on it all the time, but using the S21 Ultra, or even using the S20 Ultra, or any of the Samsung devices within the last couple of years, with an X stock, touch, or even the first gen.
Yeah,
is so refreshing. It is such an like it truly reinvents, reintroduces you to an entire ecosystem. The fact of the matter is, your phone is truly way too powerful for what you're using it for. You're not using it for the full potential. So use it as a laptop. And I also saw, I don't know if you saw this, but Nextdoc has there's a new model coming out again. They're coming up with a 13.3-inch model now that swivels all the way to the other side in tablet mode. I'm like, whatever Nextdoc is doing, they're not getting enough coverage on it. I did a video for them last week, not for them, on their product with the S21.
But I just keep putting them into other things too. You know, like this is like if you do a lot of system building and you don't have a Nextdoc, this is the absolute easiest way to like hook up a display, a trackpad, a keyboard, and extra IO to like a PC you're building before you actually install it and get like all of your monitors and all of your stuff set up. I mean, like I was ripping apart Nooks for a while. There's no way I would have done that if I'd had to use like regular desktop monitors and keyboards.
And have to no, I agree.
It was just so much faster. And so now it's like, again, it's like I get cranky when I need to use like a real laptop or a real computer. It's like my phone can do this. I've got a game console. I can plug this in. I've got these portable displays. We can jack that in. I mean, like everything should be this easy. And it's driving me nuts that like, I mean, I can't find any other manufacturers putting out consistent refreshes on this idea, on this style dock.
They're trolling you right now.
Uses laptop webcams for selfies. Yes, because I don't take selfies. What was the one that I just? Oh, I did is it not on my desk? I did the OpenCom, the aftershocks, the headset aftershocks.
Oh yeah. No, we talked about it last week. You posted it right after the next morning.
So, yeah, right. So the video went live, and I wanted to do some like kind of a more realistic video streaming test. So I used OBS to stream up to YouTube, but I used the webcam on the MSI Creator. So I still have the MSI Creator laptop.
Yep.
God, a good webcam. And I pulled that video down off of YouTube just so that you could kind of see, like, that would really be what it would look like if you were in the middle of like a video conference. I thought the mic did well. I mean, again, it's a little Bluetooth mic, so it wasn't going to be amazeballs, but like the webcam is just so bad.
I
really don't understand. How did we keep them so bad? I mean, we
never needed them. We never really needed them.
But we were just making fun of like Xiaomi phones for not having nice enough selfie cameras, and like
laptop cams are like 10
on a mid-ranger phone looks so much better than the horrid webcam on a $1,600 laptop that doesn't have a rear camera.
No, I was going to say
additional costs.
There's no backup. There's no backup process of saying, "Oh yeah, just close it and use the backup camera." No, there isn't. I think what happened is the current pandemic that we're in, or at least the current situation that we're in, has helped us. Well, it didn't help us. It actually forced us to rely on these pieces of hardware that in the past were just there for the sake of being there, and most people didn't really use them as much. When I first started to set up this entire setup here in the office, I didn't have the link to a camera. I was originally just going to do straight from the webcam, and that is just absolutely horrible. Like if I turned on the webcam right now, it would look like I'm in a different place. And I think what happened is with manufacturers, because it takes so long to kind of develop and put these things together, I realized that there's a good chance that that was not part of their focus. MSI for years used to drive me crazy that they would put an SD card on their laptops, but they give you the slowest possible SD card you can get on the market when everybody's already on UHD. You know, they're running like what's it called? The new faster memory SD cards for 4K and 8K content. But every time I put it in my gamer laptop, it would transfer at like 10 to 15 megabits down. I'm like, that makes no sense. So we definitely need a refresh, but I'm happy that we have IO that allows us to actually bring in external sources, like what we're doing both of us here. Yeah.
Although, I mean, like to Aditya's point, we're long past due being able to just plug in a USB cable from our phone to a laptop
Oh
and
wow,
say,
El Jefe.
hey, there's a camera. Go look at that camera and use that camera.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing that now on mirrorless cameras,
Mhm.
where like my G9, your Sony. I mean, you can run them just
Yeah.
right off of a USB bus. You don't even need some kind of fancy capture
No, no,
card.
no, no. You don't even. Yeah, exactly.
We're
It,
so overdue being able to do that on a phone.
the ZV-1 just got an update to get live streaming support from it. Like the ZV-1,
That
the
see,
606.
that makes me kind of want to get
This,
one.
I
And then
wanted to
I would
get one
have
over
a
the.
so
That's
because the pandemic's going on and we don't know what's going to be going on with school. Marie and I have been kind of flirting with the idea of maybe like quarantining for a couple weeks, like out at my
Mhm.
parents' place, because they've got like
Oh,
two extra bedrooms. We could kind of have like a room for Lex, a room for us. I'd still need
yeah.
to be able to work.
Oh,
And so
absolutely.
like I wouldn't want to take like all of this, but like one of those little vlogger cameras with a flip out screen could be so good. Oh,
So the ZV-1 would be a really good test case scenario for you right now. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's at a very, very attractive price over at B&H.
hmm.
We could, yeah.
I don't need to be spending any more money on cameras because I just put out my Sony A7S3 video,
Well,
and
speaking, yeah, I saw that one this morning. It was actually a very, I honestly, so I started watching the video, honestly expecting the conversation to end in a different direction than the way it ended, mostly
I
because
I'm proper conflicted. Yes,
I no, I get it. I get the same. I felt that placement where you are. You're like, I like it. I want to be there, but then in that last bit where you're like, even if I sold every piece of camera tech that I have, I can only get the camera body, and I feel like, oh
oh,
yeah,
I can't quite scratch up to the camera body. I'd still be at a deficit,
it
and that
is.
kind of hurts.
So I at the time I got into it a little bit with a couple of caveats. There was the pre-orders. I pre-ordered my A7S3. I didn't actually wait for it to come out on retail. But I also took advantage of, I think, what is it called? B&H does this thing through their credit card system. It's
Oh yeah,
called the Paybook thing, where
yeah.
they waive the tax. That's how they essentially, their promo, essentially they're not
Which
waiving it realistically. They just pay
is
it
not an insubstantial amount.
when it's on the
When
A7S3.
is
Absolutely, yeah, it's in the hundreds. It wasn't in the 5 or 10. So it was like, it was a substantial amount. So I felt like I'm saving some money, because that was the biggest appeal for me with B&H in the past. They shipped very
Because my
fast.
our Sony PR rep, the person that we've spoken to on Sony coverage, she
Yeah,
keeps making fun of me for shooting on Panasonic. I think that's why she's been sending me, because she
I
knows
was gonna
I
say,
don't review a ton of camera hardware like I used to. But I
yeah.
think she's goading me. I think
Exactly.
she's making fun of me
Last
for
year with the
shooting on them.
A7 III, this year with this A7S3. I don't know, Juan.
I see a trend. I bet
I
you I'm gonna be at the end of the reviewer list, but I bet you she's like, hey, you want to try an A1?
Oh my
After
god.
like all of the main camera outlets have
All
already taken a turn on it, they'd be like,
absolutely.
so Juan, what are you up to? Are you still on your Panasonic?
At that point, you're gonna have to take it personal. I would still review it, but then have a conversation about it. I'm
I'm gonna have to get her on, like, record a phone call or
yeah,
get her on
yeah,
camera at some point, because I think people would be able to spot the
the start, the
the little
tone.
manipulations that are happening there.
She's truly trying to get you to be Team Sony all the way, and so for me, when I watched the video, I realized. I mean, I did end up switching over from a
Yeah,
Panasonic Micro Four Thirds
you had a
over.
GH5, right?
I had the GH5 for the
Yeah.
longest, and it was because it did shoot 4K 60. That was the biggest appeal for me. It was the 4K 60. The zoom did get not the zoom. The focusing did get better, but it was also the flip display. Like, it was the upgrade that I wanted out of my Canon, because I went from the 60D to the 70D, and then I was like, should I go from the 670D to the 80D? But the
Yeah.
80D still didn't do 4K. It was like, I'm like, what is
No.
Canon doing? So I jumped. That's when I went from Team Canon to Team GH5, Panasonic. And then I had that for a few years, and I loved it. And my secondary camera was an A7 III, so I bought that one used, and I loved that one. But it had very much limitations when it came to shooting it, using it for video,
Yeah.
especially front-facing videos like this. So I felt like the A7S3 did answer that. They fixed, the menu system is much better. The camera has, the display worked. It is truly meant for video. So I did
And
bite
not
the bullet.
only is it so much better for video, but
Mm.
like it's such a small change up from the A7 III, but the grip is so much easier to
Oh
hold.
man.
And for how big the glass is on a full frame camera, like I
Well,
can't.
you used it with you used the biggest lenses. I kept it with when I was reviewing the Xperia Pro. I used it with a smaller sensor, more of a vlogger, slightly wider lens,
Mhm.
so that I was able to use it with my hand. Because otherwise, if I was using it the lens, you were using the camera like this. The
Yeah, but I
field
mean,
of
like
view.
a 2470, or also like I'd want to have I'd want a fast 50. Yeah, I just love
Oh,
the
50. I think 50 is a
stand.
stand. 50 mil
But
is a
but
standard.
that's
I
that's a
think in
pretty
everybody's.
nose heavy lens in Sony land. In Canon land, it's a reasonable middle sized fast prime. In Sony land, it's a big old hunk of glass, and it's
Canon land is like this small, though. I mean, we're talking about
gorgeous.
the 50 mil. Yeah, no, I had. Um,
Or I mean,
I do
like
also have the adapter to use Canon
I'll try
lenses.
and reach back there and get I've got an Olympus 17 mil, which is kind of like having a 35 on a full
No,
frame camera. And it looks like a little pancake prime.
it
It's
looked like
like this
exactly.
big on my G9. It's hilarious.
I
That
when you.
35
Mhm.
on a Sony would like be a lens. It'd be like a coffee can on the
Uh,
front of the camera.
if I don't have it handy, but I have an 85 mil on the Sony, and it's but
Oh,
that's
but that
part of, but
85 is so
it's
good.
85 is just butter. Like, just look, that part when you were standing there and you were shooting yourself, when you showed that natural just drop, the field of view, everything, the blurriness behind you, the crispy quality of that video is like,
Yeah.
I I saw that and I was like, yes. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of nerdgasm going on there when it comes down to camera tech.
Yeah.
And when you're using it with that, like I said, the daily reason why I love being on full
There's a
frame.
shot at the end that I shared. So I had the A7S3. I'm outside playing with with Lex, because
Yeah.
Lex is using. I have an old Kodak Micro Four Thirds camera that I just beat to hell.
Mhm.
And so we can actually share lenses. Like I need to get her on like that fast prime, because she's actually starting to get pretty good. Some of her composition's not bad for a 5-year-old. So I had my Peak Design tripod.
Mhm.
I flipped it upside down because I saw this little trail of ants, and I mean, it took a while to get the setup right, but at what was it? I was at no, I was wide open. I was at f2.8.
Mhm.
The plane of focus was almost exactly the width of the line of ants walking. That's how narrow the focus
That's
band
held the field.
was.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't think I could have, I definitely don't think I could have gotten that on the A7 III. It would have been a monster challenge
Mhm.
on my G85. It would have been a little easier on my G9. But
The
like the fact that I could line that up with the camera inverted under the legs,
Yep.
right on top of this little ant trail, and I could rotate it perfectly so that that line of focus was right. I mean, the line of focus on the
It's very
viewfinder
thin.
was the width of the ants. You're just like, this is so good.
I'm telling you, you're going to be getting a call in very, very near future. Juan, what are you doing?
Hey,
How's
so
Panasonic for you?
you want to spend a couple weeks? Well, actually, now I need to like. So, hey, Panasonic, what can you do to keep me?
Play hard to get. I see. Okay, yeah, play hardball, man. That's how you should do it. Call Panasonic before the conversation's too late.
Who will vie for my affections in the world of cameras?
Dude,
Oh
in the
man.
world of cameras, I feel like I really feel like I'm happy that we have a lot of good selections. I'm happy Canon is starting to step up. We're not just sitting stuck in the same boat. But I
So
think Sony.
I have a video coming. Oh, it's back on my bookshelf. I have a video coming out. I hope it'll be done next week. I was just feeling nostalgic.
Mhm.
So I was playing with the A7S3. I already had to pack it up, send it off. It kind of renewed some of my, like, maybe I should get my oh, I just heard someone walking down the hallway, and that was super creepy. It also kind of renewed some of my
It wasn't me.
like taking my Panasonics out, because I don't take them out of the office as much as I really should. And then
I
like
know.
I grew
Right.
up shooting on film. Like
Mhm.
photography has kind of been a lifelong hobby, a lifelong passion.
Oh
So
man. Oh
I
yeah.
dug
No.
out my Canon 7D, not
Oh, the 7D
not the 7DD and not the 7D Mark II.
too.
In a backpack, I had the original 7D body. It was the first motor drive. It could hit 8 frames per second burst rates. The original batteries. This camera is 11 years old. And
Wow.
I
Okay.
charged up the battery. I
Mhm.
popped in my compact flash card, and I flicked the power switch, and like a freaking Mack truck, everything launched in action. The motor drive is bursting just like it used to. The
Nice.
autofocus is garbage, but it still works like it used to back then. It's so brute force mechanical. And so I took it out and I started shooting with it. And you're like, this feels almost like I'm shooting on film again, because everything is so analog,
You
even
know,
though
you
it's a
have to everything. Yeah.
digital body.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
Wow,
it's a tank. And I put
dude.
hard miles on that 7D. And just the fact that, like, this is an 11-year-old battery.
And it still worked.
And not
I'm,
just working, I mean,
obviously,
like, it's powering like almost as many shots. The battery degradation has been minimal for it not having been used seriously in years. I mean, just like it's crazy. It's
exactly.
crazy
Hashtag some
how
nostalgia guy.
yeah, I was definitely feeling it. I got a shot of Lex on the bridge at sunset. Again, it's a really grainy and noisy image, so I throw it into black and white, and it doesn't look like film, but it's got kind of a texture to it, and it
Mhm.
looks like, you know what? And let me pull it up. We'll do a quick
We'll do it
pop
live.
up here.
We'll do it now.
We're doing it live. He's wearing a mask. I feel like we're kind of mostly safe here, and I'll screen share this.
Okay, let's drop it in.
But I mean,
And
just like off the cuff, my fingers, like all of the muscle memory came back in like minutes, just from like how I used to shoot on Canon. Like I still felt it all. Like I could still remember everything.
that's a very beautiful shot. The symmetry on this thing is crazy. From the
And just like
shadows to the levels. Wow.
and like her hair is just like glowing around her because it's all wild and like
Mhm.
splayed out from her ponytail, and just like, and again, it's noisy and it's grainy and there's like
Oh,
a
no, no.
weird edge to it, but like it came out feeling just like I remembered. It took me minutes to get back into that feeling where your Sony so well, you can kind of predict what a photo will look like
Yeah.
before you hit the shutter. Like, you kind of grow this organic relationship with something that captures the content. And like, she's a 5-year-old. She's not holding still and posing for this
Oh,
kind
no,
of
no,
stuff.
no, no. No,
She's
absolutely.
a Tasmanian devil of activity. And yet the instant I saw this line up, it was exactly that Canon action of camera up to my eyeball, the little focus indicator just dead center right on her face as she lined up perfectly on that edge of the shadow. Thok, 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 thok. And that was it. I mean, I think I got 4 shots off thanks to
Mhm.
that motor drive. And then she was off and running and like, jumping off to the other side of the bridge.
Is that
Just
the camera that she's holding in her hand?
yeah, that's my little Kodak. Let me see if I
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I like to call a little some gadget guy's girl. daughter here. Look at that.
Some gadget gal.
Yes, some gadget gal. She's grabbing and she's checking her photo. She's looking exactly. Did I get the right shot? Did I get the
Yeah,
shot?
because she shot right off, like she shoved like her hands through the edge of this bridge
Oh,
to
okay.
try and get like something out by our creek. And
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, yeah, this bridge is not like the other bridge, your old place's bridge, right? The
no,
one
no,
over
no,
the
no, no.
water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this one's a bit more rural. But yeah,
yeah.
I just like it like it all came back to me. It
Absolutely.
just
No, no,
all
no.
came rushing back to me. And you're like, I don't know that I've ever had that organic a feel on my Panasonics.
Absolutely. Hashtag little gadget girl
Little
right there.
gadget girl.
Juan, register the channel now.
I mean, I really am got to lock down all over socials for her. But
All
I
of the
mean,
socials.
it's like there's something to this, like I get lazy with touch screens and like, because of how I shoot so much video these days.
Yep.
And there was a time where I was doing I never really entertained the idea of being like a concert photographer or an event photographer, but I've actually done a couple of red carpets,
Oh,
and there's no way. I mean, the experience of when I was like shooting on Canons versus like my Panasonics now, I would feel better on a Sony if I were going mirrorless. Again, there's this weird implicit trust of Sony autofocus that I just don't have on my Panasonics. But that
it's yeah.
mechanical feel on old Canon DSLRs, just I don't know I've ever found anything that I could just operate free of chimping
Yeah.
at the camera all the time. It's so strange to talk about, but again, I think that's because I'm old and I used to shoot on film cameras.
Well, not only that though, but you have to also keep in mind that later generations of Canon, cameras did get a lot better on autofocusing. They were actually pretty comparable when you start looking at the focusing levels, like the 70D or the 60D that I used for a long time for video. One of the biggest reasons was the fact that the focus was on point. And the moment I switched over to the GH5, before they started fixing the autofocusing, a lot of times when I talk, while I'm doing my normal arm and moving thing, the focus kind of you see the pulsating, it's like it's trying to catch.
Well, I
Because
mean, Aditya was making fun of me because like when I lean back, I'm on such a shallow lens for my
yeah,
Panasonic that like I
it's
blur out. I
like
don't
Juan disappears.
I don't do the autofocus on this. It's
Well, so that's
always
the thing,
wrong on the
because you're
G85. It's
yeah.
always wrong.
So here's the thing, though. You're a lot closer to your camera than I am to my camera. Where I am right now, I'm about roughly about 3 feet away from where the camera is, and I can't. It's too far for me to set the focus and stay within that without having the moving back and forth and going back and forth. So it's hard for me to keep it where I understand. I think we've talked about it in the past, but short. I can't wait to see the Canon 70D, the 7D. Sorry. Yeah. See.
You can see my Hulkbusters in the background. It's great.
Hashtag some blurry guy.
So I did want to kind of swap out. I mean, I did get for the best of my week.
Yeah.
The video that was out for the mask and the face unlock.
I was about to transition to that. Go ahead.
I'm gonna abbreviate this just a little bit because there's one other thing that I forgot to mention, and I'm gonna sneak it in.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say I put out a video talking about smart lock. It's always disappointing to me that when we talk about these features in Android land, we kind of forget that they've been around for a while. So an iPhone gets some new feature that we've had on Android for years, and the media just blows up. Like, oh my gosh, Apple is going to tie the iPhone to your Apple Watch so you can face scan while you're wearing a mask. This is amazeballs. And obviously, smart lock isn't the exact same thing, and it's probably a little less secure, but we've had this customization action in Android for years now. So I'm just going to put this out there
a few generations. Yep.
Easily. I mean, what? Since Snapdragon 835s at least. I'm just going to put this out there real quick to say, remind your family and friends. I was talking to my family, and now most of them are on Pixels that have fingerprint sensors, but there are still times where it might be nice to not have to mess with that. None of them knew. Literally none of them had ever messed with those security settings. We can't expect people to be kind of experts like we are.
Mhm.
folks might be missing out on this, and then they see all these amazing Apple headlines, and then you think, well, maybe I better go get an
Well,
iPhone
that
because
phone,
I'd love to
exactly.
have a feature like that when they do. So now would be a good time just to kind of casually say, hey, if you're still wearing a mask at the grocery store, like you should, this is something that might be able to help you out. But I forgot to bring this up with you. I have one other thing that's going to be coming to the channel probably end of next week or the week after that, is that
Oh,
I
okay.
finally got myself a new router.
Oh, you did upgrade the router. So you did take
I
okay, so we
finally did,
we kind of talked about that. I don't know if it was
because
online or offline.
you just upgraded your router,
That's how I was able to fix my problem with my internet. It
and
wasn't my
I was feeling left out. So it made me sad,
did
and
it,
I wanted nice things too.
so okay, I hear what happened. So you're over okay, so now you're just okay, I see how it is. Okay.
It's a competition, and it's
It
all
is, but
about who has the most cool toys, is what I'm saying.
obviously
And
best router at this point, but yeah, no.
so
Did did it do what it's supposed to do though? Maybe that's a better question.
this has actually been a year-long project that I have been failing to document. I have now finished the core network is now all 10 gig Ethernet.
Oh, you finally got everything then. Okay.
So I've got my NIC is working in my desktop again. I had to replace 2 of them, and now I'm hoping that this one doesn't burn out. But I now have
Okay.
a 10 gig NIC in my
Fantastic.
workstation. I have a 10 gig switch, which now communicates to a Wi-Fi 6 router with 10 gig Ethernet
It is
ports on it.
you
And it's really nice. Well, let me screen share one more time. So,
sure.
I was thinking about going Asus. This one, because it matches the NOS that I'm using. It came in just a little bit cheaper. So it's a terrible name, the Cora 301W, but
QNAP
this
has
is
never been known for their good names, but yes, keep going.
no, it's
No.
like QNAP and then monitor manufacturers. Like, let's just smash
Oh,
the
Apple, yeah,
keyboard and then see what letters and numbers
exactly. You
pop
want a
up.
new name? -1
So
P.
Wi-Fi 6 with I mean, obviously it's still got standard gigabit
Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Ethernet,
yeah.
but 10 gig ports as well, with a USB 3 ports that I can connect even more
Nice.
stuff to it. This combo uh has doubled my throughput from my workstation to my NOS.
Mhm.
So editing directly off of my NOS is
Nice.
now
Oh,
much more feasible,
nice.
and it's boosted my Wi-Fi connection to my NOS over 50% over where I was on Wi-Fi 5.
Oh, absolutely. Wi-Fi 6 improvements are crazy.
Oh
Signal
man.
power. Yeah, yeah, no, no, definitely. And you're 10 gig meter right there.
I'm telling you. I mean, not that you need to go 10 gig like I am, because I'm a big old dork. And
I
obviously 10 gig is a better upgrade when you can start like working gigabit broadband
exactly. Yeah, no.
into all that too.
Once you start getting the actual speeds to support, yeah, no, but connection between your desktop, your workstation, and your NAS, and just the interconnection, the interconnectivity between the two systems, that is a big win, especially when you're doing wired connections. We're not just talking only wireless. For me, the router that I went with was a Synology Wi-Fi
Yeah, yeah,
router.
yeah.
So unfortunately, no Wi-Fi 6. I would have wished that was it. It was something that I've reviewed a long time ago. Um, and I was trying to troubleshoot my problem with my current carrier, the one that shall not be named. Otherwise, my internet will tank the moment I mention the
Right.
name.
They'll pull the
Uh,
plug if they hear their name.
I wouldn't like, what happened on the stream on Monday. Yeah, no, I realized that once I switched, I was having all these problems. I switched the router and I put in the Synology router. I set it up. I restarted everything. And then lo and behold, everything worked. It truly, like, the routing, the priority, the connections, everything was run. And then I wired everything here in the office, wired. So we're on a wired connection. Although I still have Wi-Fi for the rest of my components,
Mhm.
my desktop and my laptop are both wired, and so much better, like performance, latency, ping time, all of that good stuff. But I will look at this one. I'll definitely check it out and see if I'm able to get some benefit out of it. I wanted to go Wi-Fi 6, but it just apparently, I think when I got this one for review,
So I'm not
it's not
sure
fire.
if Wi-Fi 6 is really making the big difference. I think it's the combo of because I'm like I'm not running the craziest fastest drives. I just have a 3 bay,
Mhm.
for a little RAID 5 rig. And
They're
Vazikos
probably
is
at what, like
asking.
10,000 RPM, just get your like
No, I
your
mean they're like 54s. They're the
oh,
medium
okay.
reds.
Oh,
So I
the
mean
reds.
I went for longevity over the fastest
Mhm.
the fastest platters.
Well, for yeah, no, no. For RAID, if you're gonna do RAID, you need the red. Yeah, you need to get the
Well, and then
Western
also
Digital.
just it's a little box, and I am a little concerned about cooling. The QNAPs are usually pretty good, but I don't like their thermal management software. It's almost always like 10 degrees warmer than I think it should be.
Oh, so you're running the same then? Because that's what I have. I have a QNAP for my NAS.
Yeah, the little 3 bay, right?
Uh, Quad Bay.
Oh,
I think
okay. So I have the
mine's a
little
little bit
brother
later. Yeah,
Beast.
you've had yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had yours for a while. It
So
was on
so
sale
so
with B&H, but yeah.
mine is 3 bay, and then Vazikos is asking. I run 3 platters, and then I do have a solid state drive as a buffer space.
Okay.
So I've got a 500 gig SSD in there just to kind of like, when I dump stuff on there, it's stupid
Super.
fast now, and then it kind of takes its time making it
So
over
actually,
to the spinning disks.
yeah.
So I think it's the combo. Going Wi-Fi 6 with that faster cabled connection
Mhm.
is so that I tried to do movie night with Night of the Living Dead.
Oh,
My
that's right. Yeah,
copy
yeah.
of Night of the Living Dead is the 16 gigabyte Blu-ray rip that you can get for free on archive.org, because Night of the Living Dead is public
It's
domain.
public
It's not
domain now.
technically. It is a public domain piece of media. I tried streaming that to my TV. It did not work on my old mesh router. And like as soon as I popped this in and it started communicating with my 10 gig switch,
Mhm.
no issues.
No issues. Of
And it was
course not.
like,
Yeah.
oh man. I mean, like every single local connection between all of our various devices, the PlayStation, my Nook that I use
Mhm.
as like a TV computer, everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is. It is.
Everything.
I felt that when I went hardwired on my desktop that I have been on Wi-Fi for years. The moment you get just sheer speed, performance, instant, no more signal issues, no more drop connect, no, none of. I like I said, I would love to be able to get something that give me a little bit better performance because of the across the big where I am. My current internet here is across the house from where the other side of the regular side of the internet is. So
Yeah.
Wi-Fi 6 would help me get better signal. And my hope is at some point, because I'm getting such a faster connection for the account here, maybe leverage some of that on the other side. So just that I can get better signal coverage. Because if I go to the other side, I lose connection here. I don't have this is just standard Wi-Fi, 5 gigahertz. It's not the strongest, which is supposed to be better than 2.4, but yeah, no, I'm with you. I love the fact, and congratulations, and I can't wait to see that video. You little,
But I mean, like, what's encouraging is like Wi-Fi 6E is right around
mhm,
the corner. We're going to start getting some more support
absolutely.
for those types of products.
Yeah,
The core like home networking options here. I'm just really glad that we're starting to finally see some traction on those combos.
yep.
I was thinking maybe trying to go mesh, but the prices on those are still
They're
ridiculous. If you're
still
trying to
very, very, yeah. Like
with
the Orbi.
2.5 gig Ethernet,
Mhm.
it's just scary pricey. So when this guy came in, and let me pull up prices right now. Oh, you can actually get them on Amazon now. Is that
Mm,
no? No, again, every time I click on that, it takes me to one of their other remote shops. Let me
yeah,
see if
all right.
I can find it somewhere else. But anyway,
B&H should have it. B&H has most of the QNAP models,
much more reasonably priced.
or maybe Adorama.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it's more the QNAP website, not
Oh,
super
yeah, yeah.
well laid out, but they kind of go in and out of stock. We don't have to worry about it anyway. But it was like $200 less than the Asus, which was Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah.
and 10 gig.
That's the Raptor, right?
Yeah, that big old ROG spider claw
Yeah,
mech looking thing.
it's
And this
finger.
is just like a very simple white box with a couple green lights
I
on it.
saw that.
And I'm
Yeah,
kind
no,
of like, that's
it
weird.
almost looks like a set-top box from a cable company or like something like, it's like it's just this creep little white box that says like, what is that? That's my router. You? No way. No
It's good.
antennas. Doesn't need it. It's a good.
It's
It's
great.
happy. Well, I'm glad that you're able to, like I said, so those little improvements, those little things that you do, especially when we're home all the time for so
Okay,
much of
so
our time.
I just found it. 350, 340 on Newegg.
Surprise, surprise.
Wi-Fi 6 and 10 gig. Like, that's pretty good. So
350, you say?
mhm.
We'll have to check back on that.
So next week on Best of Our
Yes,
Week, as TK shows off a brand new router.
DK is going to have to figure something. No. I mean, seriously, the Wi-Fi 6 concern with me for me was a big thing. I chose not to address it right out of the box because my initial problem was to fix my issue with connection.
Yeah.
The getting a business account with my carrier and still not being able to do a straight stream like what we're doing right now without a hiccup. Like every time we do it, every time I host a stream, it is just might as well count how many times we're going to get the spinning logo thing. So and I'm a big fan of QNAP. I like their products. Like I said, I've been using their NOS and I have my what's it called? My movie server running off of it as well. So for me, I do use that as a repository. If I can set it up, I would love to get some network cables running.
Editing off of a NOS while you're streaming movies to multiple TVs in the home.
It is crazy. That is
really nice.
Okay. We will have this discussion offline,
off camera,
off camera, so that my wallet doesn't just drop out of my pants and just run away.
But in keeping with the title of our show, I finally got everything kind of linked up, set up, connected. It took a little kind of routing some Ethernet cables back and forth, and like I said, I did go through some very obnoxious teething pains on my NICs, but like getting all those pieces in place, and I still need some tweaking in there. But
I know the fact that it actually it's connected right now and it is streaming and you're able to function. That is a big step into when you're troubleshooting. Yeah.
And tell me, I mean, like it's funny. My wife and I, we've been having these conversations about how we're going to start cycling in and out of streaming services because we're tired of like having 5 or 6 different streaming services.
It's getting more expensive. Yeah, absolutely. It's way more expensive than even having regular cable at this point. It's
loses Parks and Rec, and I'm thinking, I think I'm just gonna go buy the whole Blu-ray and rip it and keep it on my house. And then my brother was a big fan of the show too. And then if I accidentally give him the discs while I keep
the actual digital copy backup.
Like we've been doing that with Lex's movies, like if there's a movie that she really liked on Netflix, we know it's not going to stay. So it's just easier to buy it and rip it. And so now we've got this huge, like you've been saying, we just run this huge media server. I'm still a fan of what some of these streaming services have to offer, but the traditional like movie experience, I mean, like what I end up ripping tends to be better quality anyway.
It will be because most of the time, depending on the service that you're with and depending on the package that you have with them, you may not be getting the highest quality. Like even with Netflix, you'd have to be on the higher tier, which they're boosting up their numbers again. I looked at the amount of services that I have and how much we're paying a month. It's crazy. Like between Netflix, Hulu, and HBO Max and Disney. Wait, hold on. And Discovery Plus now because Discovery Plus and all of those things. it truly is like a way more expensive package now than what it was with just being with the cable company trying to just save up. So unplugging or going with a streaming service, and then as you know, CBS is coming up with their own thing. Every company now is releasing their own streaming service. The convenience of having it being streaming over the fact that it is through TV is starting to not make sense anymore. Like I think they've gone into the deep end. You're not really saving money. You're spending more money now. And it is truly like you cycling through it. I think like what you're saying, what you guys are doing, I think is a much better solution. The prices are going up regardless. So it's not like you're locked into a rate and you're saving yourself. They increase their prices whenever they want to increase their prices. They just have to send you an email. We
got another bill hike on Netflix.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say, Netflix sends me an email saying, "Hey, the price is going up." I'm like, "Is it a discussion?"
Awesome.
Nope, it's going up. So, yeah, short answer. I think we all, if you are, by the way, if you guys are listening to this and you're thinking about it, write down on a piece of paper how many services you're subscribing to, how much you spend per month,
and then get real depressed like we did.
And then, and exactly, and start feeling depressed as you add more services, and you're like, oh, that's how much I'm paying for my TV. And it's even worse if you still have TV.
Yeah. We switched over to Sling, and then Marie had some like major customer service issue with Sling, and then we went back to YouTube TV, and we're thinking about maybe dropping it again. Because it's pricey. For Aditya Nil saying streaming services cap your video quality ? Dang.
Yeah.
It's not so much. I think if you hit like the top tier 4K stream quality, you're probably so close to a Blu-ray that it wouldn't necessarily like you wouldn't instantly go, oh, well, this is a streaming quality. This is not as good. There are just some situations where we've got data, it's not a guarantee that will sustain a 4K stream, and you can see very quickly when it drops out of 4K.
I was gonna say, yeah, you see the quality, like, oh, okay, did I just change the disc? It's like, are we? What happened? We're back to the DVD now, or what?
The one that kicked me off, the one that really like, I'm going to back up Blu-rays now, even though most Blu-rays don't have this issue, was The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan shot all of the action sequences in 70 millimeter, and it's a different frame size than the dialogue sequences. The dialogue sequences are captured in more of a 16:9
aspect ratio. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. More of a 21:9, a 35 millimeter frame. And then when it would go into the IMAX frame, it was a more square image. So you don't get the full, but if you look at the Dark Knight Blu-ray, all of the dialogue sequences are letterboxed, and all of the action sequences are full 16:9. So it's still cropped from the original IMAX frame, but you literally get more of the film on the Blu-ray than you do on most of the streaming services.
And you're able to still capture it in that form. I mean, when you're backing it up, it backs up in.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, because it's just baked into the Blu-ray frame, so it's just letterboxed in on the dialogue sequences, and then it's just baked in there that those are black bars. But then it expands to a full 16:9 when the semi gets flipped, like. Or when the bank heist at the beginning is just, it looks so much better than when you stream The Dark Knight. So it was things like that. Like I
need to get to rent the Blu-ray one more time, because I feel like I missed out, because we just watched the Dark Knight. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. My son wanted to see it. We were on a Batman kick, and that specific scene, yes, that it's a long movie, and I think he regretted having to click that. The storyline, though, was very, very well thought out.
Well, he's the right age to kind of now, even though it's long.
Yeah,
and, I mean, like you get kind of like soggy butt by the time you're done with that film, but he's at least old enough to kind of be like,
to power through it. No, no.
Yeah.
But he appreciated the storyline. He started catching out like exactly who it is. The Ra's al Ghul conversation, the whole thing. Who is truly the Ra's al Ghul? We always thought Bane, like, well, not we, but the movie was trying to guide you into thinking Bane was the child, and then you realize, no, it's not Bane. Switcheroo. He was very shocked. He was like,
Expectations subverted.
Omar was like, what? It's the girl? Like, when did that happen? I'm like, yes.
Spoilers, TK. What did you do?
It's
Now
the
anyone who
most-
watches the end of our 90-minute podcast is not gonna. You just ruined it for everybody.
I do
And
apologize.
Soylent Green is people. You damn dirty apes! You blew it up.
I should
you.
have started my statement by
Damn
spoilers.
you all to
Spoilers,
hell.
spoilers. Please cover your ears. I do apologize, but yes.
What do you mean the killer was really the protagonist in a disassociative state? What? Actually, if anyone knows what that movie is, then I'll say kudos, and maybe I'll buy you a sticker.
We'll be able to do that. But yeah, so I'm glad that you had some good stuff going on with the best of your week on that end.
Oh, yeah.
Movie night and
I make this like threat every year that like I want to spend a little less time doing phone after phone after phone after phone with all of these like phone videos. And actually, the beginning of 2021 has been a little audio heavy. I've been really happy about that. I just picked up these are the Pinnacle P1s. They're from Me Audio. So I'm wearing Me Audio custom molded.
I remember those.
In-ear monitors, but the Pinnacles are their like premium label consumer earbuds, and they're really nice, and I really like them. And then I had all those true wireless earbud reviews start off. I mean, like I kind of feel like there's some other stuff that we can kind of mix in and kind of spread out some of the tech love, and I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Absolutely, and I'm focusing. I'm trying to spend more time with the Mi 11, trying to get into the more performance spaces and see some of the new things that Xiaomi's putting in there. I wished we had 12.5 on this MIUI 12.5 to see some of the new improvements they're talking about, because they did boost, or at least they talked about some of the optimizations that they were going to bring in there. There's actually performance optimizations bringing in. But we'll see how that comes out, because MIUI 12 I think has been out for some time with based on Android 10 and then upgrade to 12 to 11. There was another leak, but I think I forgot to put it in the comments, but there was somewhat what I think people were talking about, like an early render, an early teaser, what Android 12 could look like. And I think that, XDA covered that one. So that was also another thing, but we'll have to see. Next week's conversation will be a little bit more TK upgraded his Wi-Fi router to, Juan worked out all the kinks out of his Wi-Fi router conversations. It'll be more of a, one of those conversations.
It's not going to happen, but it would be funny if next week you were on a Wi-Fi 6 router and I was shooting on an A7S3. I'm just saying that it would be absolutely
amazing. We would start the show and say, "Hey guys, we said it last week. It happened. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week."
I moved to TK's place and he moved to mine.
That's how we do it. I do want to take this opportunity. I do want to say Happy Chinese New Year to anybody that's just listening to the show.
Right.
I forgot about that. I do apologize. I realized we celebrated here in our home, of course. So the grandparents dropped off some nice little goodies today for us.
Year of the Ox. Correct?
Year of the Ox, my friend. Yes. We are moving from the rat to the ox.
Take that, 2020, you rat.
It is
disease plague carrying rat.
The year of the ox. Yes,
that was really loud. I'm sorry. I'm yelling into this microphone.
We're getting too
down while we end this show.
Juan is very excited about this. It is brand new year, so obviously the reason why I'm mentioning it is also because we had, I think, Bandy Yi is in the chat, and I think I'm not sure if he does or doesn't. I think I saw Aditya wishing him Happy New Year's. But a lot of our PR contacts companies that we work with are pretty much going to be celebrating it and hopefully having a good vacation week. One of the only holidays I've ever heard of that like an entire country literally just shuts off, like bye-bye, which I love.
Nice, though.
It's kind of like where
we had more of that.
Well, so Europe has something similar in August, right? Well, when they used to be able to travel. So in previous in other jobs that I've done, I've worked with people or companies that worked in Europe, and August is a bad month to try to do anything. They just go on holiday. It's a month.
It's hot.
It's hot.
We're just
It
gonna
is
shut it
hot.
down. It's
Exactly.
very much. I don't know if you've ever been to Burbank, but there's this old. It's one of the oldest, longest running businesses in Burbank. It's called Chili John's.
Chilling
Um,
time. Okay.
and
No,
you
I haven't. Yeah.
go and you sit at an old school like bar counter, and they plop a bowl of chili in front of you, and you can get noodles or crackers or whatever you want in it. And then the owners are still like the original family that started it, so they're getting up there in age. Like, I want to say this business has been around since like the 1940s or something like that. I probably have the date wrong. Anyway, August comes around, and it's just too hot to cook chili. So they just shut the doors for a couple months and then come back when they feel like it. And I really, I kind of wish more of our economy could work that way, because
They're able to take a break and
that's
come
a
back.
really lovely idea. That I don't want to be in a hot kitchen cooking like giant industrial vats of chili.
Of
I'll,
all of those spices and herbs just
yeah,
basically permeating in the
I'll, I'll,
heat.
I'll catch you back in October. Bye.
I Aditya's I saw Aditya's comment as well here. It's like, hey, oh yeah, my Moondrop shipment is delayed because their offices are closed for a week. And yeah, so if you're expecting anything to ship out, process, or anything through uh, anything related to China, I would be patient. That's the best way to say. Be patient. They're taking their break. They're with family. They're spending the time to unwind and kind of hopefully come back rejuvenated and all that good stuff. So happy New Year,
For
Kong
sure.
Hei to anybody that celebrates it, as we do. I've learned
As
that
we
one very
do.
quickly,
That
as
was
we do.
good.
Yeah, no. So
Well,
that
I think we should put a pin in it, man. This is
I
like
was about to,
this is
yeah,
a
drive
great
it in.
run for our new channel
New channel, new
on this
branding.
podcast.
Exactly. Twitch, YouTube, I don't know, Instagram. We will figure that part out. Thank you very much to our designer for the logos. The logo is kick ass. This direction, just follow that one. Okay, all the way on Juan. Yeah, thank you. I'm bad with directions. Thank you to everybody for joining us. Thanks to everybody, Aditya, Gary the fireman, Bendy Yi, of course, everybody else. Vasicos is in there as well. Josh El Jefe was hanging out with us also for a while, which was really, really cool. El Jefe reviews, check them out, of course. I think we will have an audio podcast this week, version of this.
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
get it knocked out for sure.
So we're going to start also having an audio podcast. So link for that will be in the description below for you guys. Of course, it'll be available on your favorite podcasting.
The first couple goes at this are not going to be fancy. It's literally just going to start with us talking. So
Absolutely, it's
we're not even we haven't decided on our bumpers and our music and our intros and outros, and like it's just going to kick off with us being two chuckleheads talking about
this is no way SGGQA quality level. Let's just say this much. This is
SGGQA quality is not what we're aspiring to. We're gonna do better than my Monday morning show, but to start, we're not there yet.
So please be patient with us. We all of course appreciate it. And if you like the show, if you like what you're listening to, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as usual. And I thank you very much, Juan, for hanging out with me again for another episode.
Pleasure
Best
is
of our
all
week.
mine. Definitely.
And I'll actually let me do this. I'll let you take us out. I usually try to take that over.
I'm going to end this as we so often end this. Thanks everyone so much for watching, for sharing the content and supporting the content creators that you're out there and you're passionate about the conversations. That's really why we do this, is having those kinds of conversations. And then also keep safe, stay well, stay healthy. There is still enough craziness going on the world around us that we got to look out for each other, and we got to take care of each other. And that's a mental health thing, that's a physical health thing, and then that's also a tech health thing, because we've been leaning on this stuff harder than we ever have before. So stay tuned. I want to see all these names and more coming back as we start building up this new channel, so that we can keep having these conversations with some of you fun and like-minded folks out there. We'll catch you back here next Thursday night. And definitely on the replays. If you missed the live stream, you can always catch the rebroadcast. So stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Take care, everybody. Good night, or good day, and good morning, and Happy New Year.